L.A.R. movement. How are you doing?
Having a great night. How you feeling?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Uh, we just participated in a great live stream. It was our show, Case Closed, and it was on Ike's channel. And if folks haven't seen the show, check us out. Check that show out in particular. Uh, LAR was on there acting a fool. It was a great show, man. That was it was great interaction, great chemistry. I just felt like everybody was kind of in their lane and added the right sort of spice to the show. So that was really cool. And thanks again for bringing Lauren and Dana to the show. And they were terrific additions. Yes.
I'm glad everybody enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, certainly did. Um, yeah. So we first collaborated on Case Closed, and it was, I don't know, maybe a month and a half ago, or something like that. And you were pinch hitting for Ramil, and that was cool. And O'Shea had told me a while back to reach out to you because he thought that we would have good interaction, and so I'm glad that we are finally sitting down to have this conversation. Yeah, so let's just get right into it. So why are the streets winning?
Okay, fine. The streets are winning because the streets are a great illusion for people who actually think they can win in the streets. The streets are winning because a lot of people in relationships want to feel single again, and a lot of people who are single want to feel like being in a relationship. Thus, you're not in your lane, and the streets will always be open to suckers. So, and ultimately, the streets are winning because it's always a great fantasy that you can go back out into the streets and get something you never got before in your life, and believe this time is gonna happen.
Okay, now in the the Manosphere space, the red pill space, black Manosphere, in particular, there's a lot of talk about how it's not really guys that are choosing to head back to the streets. It seems like more women are making this choice to return to the streets. Why do you think that is?
We got to put a caveat on that. It's more older, fine women who choosing to go back out to the streets that people are paying attention to. Because the other people who just going back to the streets, they out of luck. Now the fine cougars and the fine milfs, they actually can compete with all of these bad built, but I still got it women. So they have a wider swath of thirst traps that they could gauge to get guys. Like, let's be honest. Let me see. Brittany Cooper is not that far in age from Ashanti. So, but if one of them say, I'm going back to the streets, I mean, who would you pick? And Ashanti knows there's a lot of people look more like Brittany Cooper than her. So, she'll take that.
it seems like part of the issue. It seems like part of the issue is there's a lot of sort of false advertising. So, and what I mean by that is things are made to seem as though they are better than they are. Folks that are in the streets, they will act like they're having a great time. And truth be told, they not really having a great time. They not, in large part. I don't know. Some of them probably are having a good time. It'll be temporary though. But for the most part, folks are not having a good time because, I mean, we're really not, what does it say in the Bible? God created Adam. And he saw that Adam was lonely, and he said, it's not good for a man to be alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he created a woman, and so that they would accompany each other. What does it say? I think it's in Amos or something, talking about two is better than one. Two is better than one because there's this benefit. I mean, you can see in each other's blind spots. You can provide that sort of company when the other is lonely. You can listen to each other, and you can build together. And I know a bunch of folks in the the Black Manosphere don't like to hear that build with a woman stuff. Because that sounds like you're lesser because you're suggesting that a woman is actually adding a particular value to you. But if we're honest, they obviously do add a certain value, and that's why there's so many folks that are sort of butthurt about situations not going the way that they want them to go. What do you think?
Well, okay, let me back up a little bit. The streets make miserable look good when you see them. Everybody's at the party there, yeah. But if you, word-wise, for you folks watching, right? I'm 42, right? So, I can tell you how the streets end. So, all of the people in your 20s that are having great times, they're lying. Okay? They're lying. In their 20s, they're having fun because they finally actually grown and out on their own, so now they can come and go as they please. So life is really kicking them in the butt, and Friday, Saturday night, and maybe brunch is the time they can cut loose because I really thought I was grown, and now I need to decompress from all this life that I'm dealing with. So that's where they partying at. Now, when people get in their 30s, this is when I'm really grown. Oh my God. Yeah. And now that's when you get some people who are like figuring out that they're quintessential Toys R Us kids who still don't want to grow up. So they're out having fun, but they know they're too old to be having fun. And then you go to the nightclubs, and that's when you stop looking young to most people. And then you start getting that look like, this you shouldn't. I don't know if you're supposed to get in. It's 21 and up, but we need to have a cap like 21 to 29, and you need not be here, And now you out there, with your hairline as far back as mine, because I got a Lou Gossett fade. I'm hat fishing, and now you get in your 30s, and now you don't have nothing to show for it. And ladies, y'all doing the same thing because then y'all have the dresses that they tight around the waist, and they shouldn't be tight around the waist, and you still hoping people look at you from the back. So, and not everybody's drunk.
Thank you so much for watching my video so far. If you'd like to support, there are several ways to do so below. Also, Likes are free. Please comment, share, and subscribe. Now back to the video.
So, and not everybody's drinking and inebriated, and you got nice used cars that some of y'all ain't making the payments on. So this might be your last party stunting. And then you get to the 40s. Now that's when everybody's bad built and they say, F it, I'm just going to a hole in the wall and trying to find somebody who's lonely and they're not pretentious about trying to go home with somebody. Just give me a couple of shots of whatever this alcohol you got, bartender, and I hope this person's kids ain't up tonight. So it might be a sobering truth, but that's what it is. And then you can go to church and low-key do the same thing. So now when it comes to the manosphere, I just gotta be honest, like, see, you have guys in the manosphere who know exactly what they're talking about because they lived it. And then you have guys in the manosphere who are repeating rhetoric because it's good rhetoric, but they haven't lived it. So in essence, they're shooting themselves in the foot because they're trying to quit dating before they ever started dating. So now you got that issue. Well, I'm not gonna do it because, and though I'm in the manosphere, I love the manosphere, it's all good. But I still do make fun of the people. I can tell when you're in the manosphere and you're just a rhetoric person, because I talk like this and every time women have this female nature, and I'll tell you, bro, you sound like you never went out a day in your life. So you're supposed to, yes, you can build with women, but here's the problem. Two brains are better than one, but if your IQ together equals one person, that's where we're at. It's hard to build with two dummies, and people don't want to admit that America's filled with a lot of dummies.
Yeah, that is true. That's definitely true. One thing that came up, it was a point that I made on Case Closed yesterday. And that is, there is this sort of hyperbolic, no matter where you find a woman, she's going to do the same things. There's this sort of, what I said was, if you meet a woman in the streets, you can't be surprised that she acts like she's from the streets. The whole saying, about making a 304 a housewife. But if you meet someone, I don't know, in church, along your journey, it doesn't guarantee that she won't behave as though she's from the streets. But the likelihood that you'll find something better, it's going to be a better situation. You're definitely not going to find a wife in the streets. Let's at least say that. And there seems to be like a kind of a hyperbole. I mean, all of us have made mistakes. That's what has driven most folks to the space, is having made, some miscalculations, and, now you have a kid with somebody that, hates your guts and is making everything, very, very difficult, or, just got your heart broke because, she was a lot more socially mature than you were and understood how to play the game, and you had no idea. I mean, all of us have had that situation, but if I'm honest, all of the failed relationships I've had in my life, I kind of knew that they were going to go that way. I kind of knew they were going to go that way. I had certain signs that I just ignored. What do you think?
This is why I love Eric Roberson, because that song "Lessons" is one of the realest, dopest, newest R&B songs out, right? But here's the fallacy about that. Nobody, the assumption that we're looking for wives and husbands is where we go wrong.
Mm.
That's not what we're looking for. See, this is where the manosphere and this is where the men and women in general go completely wrong, because they are lying. And we're believing this lie that at the end of the day, I'm looking for my soulmate, my twin flame, my perfect person underneath this the person that's going to be down with me. That's not what people are looking for. People are looking for somebody fine, that's a porn star, that has a heart of gold, that has money, that can cook and clean and do stuff for them in particular, and is is super angelic and super nasty, and it is corporate but hood, and somehow has a 45 in the briefcase or the purse, and smoke, and is very mannerable, but smokes weed in the car with you, and maybe takes a shot, or some Hennessy perhaps, maybe Remy Martin, whatever, and you could still do, you could sell drugs with them in your rapper mind, but they can always come home to your family and play the role of, the guy or girl next door. This is what we're looking for as a collage in one person, and when that doesn't work out, I got hurt. I saw the red flags. No. You wanted to be, porn star, Bonnie and Clyde, porn star Christian Bonnie and Clyde, and it just didn't work. Oh,
goodness.
That's what happened.
Yeah. I think there's so what you're saying is, obviously we need to right size our expectations, understand that you're not going to find that in a person. You're not going to find all those qualities in the same person. And I think another point there is, let's see here. Well, it's the whole, I think it's the whole dating versus courting thing. So, I did a show on my program, Thunder's Thoughts. And the question was, is dating a form of prostitution?
Yes.
And yes, the answer to that question is yes. And well, the thing is that courting was always the thing, right? And courting always included your family and their family, and doing things in the light of day. It was always asking for permission to talk to the daughter, talking to the father. It was always that kind of stuff. And all of this talk where people get into this, this is my business. Get out of my business. Why does it matter who I'm dating with? Hey, get you go see all of that stuff. That's that secretive, slick stuff. And that's not what the courting thing is. And courting was always about connecting, families of you both families had something to gain, right? They definitely weren't taking an L by you marrying this person, so they were either at least maintaining, or both sides stood to gain something. And this is part of the way that you build communities and, you know, you build family and communities and society is because you had all of these folks, you know, approaching the sort of man-woman union in a much more serious fashion. Now it's just like recreation.
And that's what people want. And that's why I don't believe a lot of these people's complaints. There's a responsibility in courting that is that ain't fun.
Right.
But there's an excitement in dating that stays fun. The mystery of, is that who you with, or is that not who you with, or who you really with, or what are you really doing? And it's, you grown, and you got all of these grown people who are acting like third graders because who you can love in the middle of the night, you can't love in the middle of the day. So why should I believe any of your sorrow, you know, your heartfelt, heartwarming, sad stories about how you got your heart broken dating a person that you only wanted to sleep with anyway? And because a lot of us just fell in, let's be honest, a lot of us just fell in love with the sex. The person is not even I say this, and I mean this with all due respect with everybody in the dating market. You didn't know 95% of the people you dated because you didn't care to. You cared for them to fulfill whatever sexual and lifestyle fantasy that you were about at that particular time. So all of this idea about, you know, people being hurt, how could you be hurt when you don't even know who hurt you because you didn't even know them? And you weren't trying to.
Well, now, you know, one of the things that's interesting about relationships is, and both sides do this. Both sides do this. You know, the whole being on your best behavior thing. You know, and you can do it for a while, you know, and you know, if it's like a casual kind of relationship, you can do it for longer. But the closer you actually get and the more time you spend with that person, the less you're going to be able to maintain the sort of best behavior, as it were. And you're going to start acting like you know. Now, some of that I think is just normal and natural. I think only a fool would go into any situation. So imagine going into a job interview and just being the usual you, just as you know, just as what do I want to say, casual, informal, you know, just right, just as, you know, whatever, saying whatever you know, whatever you want to say.
See, and truth be told, and you understand where I'm going with this. I blame Allen Iverson. And not Allen Iverson because it's Allen Iverson, because I blame how people viewed Allen Iverson. Because Allen Iverson, when they think of Allen Iverson, you think of the braids and the tattoos and the you know, and the long shorts, the Jordan-esque long shorts. You think of bringing the whole, you know, we brought the hood culture to the mainstream, right? So everybody could be relaxed now. But see, people forgot something about Allen Iverson. That wasn't the Allen Iverson that got drafted. The Allen Iverson that got drafted had a short haircut and one tattoo on his arm of a bulldog that he got when he was playing at Georgetown. So they forgot the year with the afro, and then the year with the things before the cornrows, and then the cornrows, and then the tattoos. And then they just woke up. Yeah, I could just show up, whatever. No, you can't. You better be an all-star before you do that. But now this is how we are. and I bring that to the relationship aspect because, like you were saying, people got so comfortable that now I'm bringing my worst. I'm putting my worst foot forward instead of my best foot forward.
Yeah.
And I want you to accept me at my worst in the hopes that it'll get better.
Yeah. And that's backwards. Nobody's going to do that. And that's a that's a really good point. Yeah. No reasonable person will do that. I mean, you get some folks to do it. You know. And, you know, with his, you know, frankly, and this has been said over and over, black men's standards are not very high.
Look, man, we gotta admit we got low standards, man. I don't understand why brothers don't even want to admit this. This is why feminists that are non-black love black men. This is actually part of the caveat why we're able to be the trash man in other races. It's because we put up with far more than other people have put up with, and we accept far more shenanigans than other people. You know, as long as she thick though. She thick, you know, hey. Yeah, she's a disrespectful mother, but she thick though, you know. You know what, I tell you what, yeah, she's a baby mama and she got two kids by two different men, but you see her in them jeans though, she thick though. Now we treat used to be thick worse than she thick right now. I will say we do that.
But she got A though.
and sometimes we gotta admit, beggars can't be choosers. Like, some of us are beggars trying to be. I'm gonna say this, Doc, and this goes for the men and the women. One of the biggest reasons why the modern day relationship isn't working is because people psychologically can't deal with the fact that you're not good enough for the person that you feel like you deserve.
Ooh.
So we got to play all these, you know, games along the way.
Man, that is the truth. Woo. That's good stuff there. Well,
I'll take. You want me to take it further?
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, poor people want to be with rich people and bring nothing to them. Dumb people want to be with smart people and bring nothing to them. Out of shape people want to be with in shape people and bring nothing to them.
Yep.
In essence, undisciplined people want to be with disciplined people who bring nothing to them. And here's the issue. Here's the thing. What people are thinking they're bringing to these people is, I'm bringing you balance by bringing my nothing. No. And the older you get, the more you look at people like, what are you? See, I used to have to talk to these young ladies, right? If anybody, I've said it numerous times, born in New Orleans, raised in New Orleans, the DMV in Chicago. So I tell people, when you from certain places, there are certain things that you just can't get over. So I would tell sisters when I came back to the South, it's like, listen, if you're a black woman in the South and you can't cook, that's a double negative. It's a double negative. Just like if you're a black man in the South and you can't work with your hands, that's a double negative. So we live in a, you know, maybe you could teach me how to be a man, and maybe you could teach me how to be a woman while I'm acting like I really want to know, but I'm just stalling. And it's like, come on, man. I would tell people, I don't like to cook. I like to eat out. I'm like, okay, well, you paying, right? Because ain't nobody paying for you to eat out every day because you can't cook. That's the crux of the issue.
I'll tell you, you're talking about that folks that have nothing and folks that aren't disciplined want people that are disciplined. And look, that thing that I said about meeting somebody along your journey, as opposed to trying to find a wife in the streets, as it were. The reason that that's going to be more effective is because at least that person is actually trying to improve themselves. They're at least heading in a particular direction. I met my.
Though.
Go ahead.
What you might have done in that instance, this is what people are acting like they're doing now. They're actually not actively doing it.
Right.
Like now, the modern day person is a rapper. They're emulating something that we all know they're not, but they put on a uniform. So you see people who, what is that term? I'm working on being the best version of myself. You see how many years in a row people say that and have never improved a lick?
Yeah, they still ain't done nothing. Yeah.
I'm trying to find who I am. You 35.
My favorite thing that people are saying now is I'm manifesting.
My grandmother used to say, it's like when you don't have meat, but you put your food in a skillet that had meat in it so you can get the taste of meat. Manifesting is just manifesting always means somebody else gonna do it for you.
Yeah.
Now, it's football.
Well, it's see, I don't like any of the sort of abstract, ethereal, one with the earth,
free spirit, lazy, acting like, no.
Yeah, I can't mess with any of that stuff. And I don't like the pseudo spiritualists. Okay. So I can't stand that. Because see, the thing is that true spirituality requires discipline. Okay. Because in order for it to be spiritual, there must be ritual. Ritual is part of spiritual. That's what we talk about, spiritual disciplines, spiritual practice. So you actually have to be doing something. You actually have to be moving in a direction, actually changing your. Yeah. But that's not what folks are doing. Right. The pseudo spiritual person is sitting around talking about, they manifesting and they figured out this other, they're waiting for stuff to come back around to them because they've been doing good. That's the stuff that they talk about instead of getting out here and creating something.
All it is old church talk for people who don't go to church no more. That's all it is. That's American Christianity. That's in a nutshell. How can I? I'm not trying to. Well, I'm probably gonna be disrespectful by saying this, but all you have to do is believe in Jesus Christ and you will go to heaven. You never read the Bible. Now you're trying to manifest going to heaven. 99% of the people on earth are going to heaven because they just gonna walk up and use Jesus' name like he a dude at the club that you know. Like, hey. So you got people who did that, and Jesus didn't give them a lifestyle of the rich and famous. So now we're gonna do something. We're gonna put an
hey, hold on, man. It's about relationship though.
It is a relationship with the lifestyle of the rich and famous. Hey,
yeah,
I got.
Yeah, that always bothers me because, you know, the Bible is very clear. I mean, straight is the way, and narrow is the path. Right. I mean, it's very clear as to what's going on. So
I'm sorry, but I used to think that it was just because I'm an American. I used to think that it was just the Bible. But I realized religion any religion, religious books are the only books on the planet that people don't read from cover to cover. They pick and choose when and where to read it, and they piece it together for whatever suits their need at that moment. They never
private interpretation.
Yeah, they never read this in order.
No. Yeah, I could go somewhere else with this, a historical context component, which is actually required to understand what it means. Going back and the folks that actually wrote it, the people that
etymology and
but that's not something that folks really are interested in. They just want something that that they can say. I've heard this thing, and I am not trying to look. And I can't believe I'm going to say this. God works in mysterious ways. We don't understand everything that he's doing, and he can use whatever he wants to use. Okay, fine. But that thing when folks will be like, hey, Lord, I need a word. Let me take this Bible and I'm going to go like this with it. And wherever it opens. And
that sounds like I need a new pair of shoes.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. But that I don't know. It just seems like it's like you said, it's lazy. I think that's really what the enemy is laziness. Because if you will just get up and start being productive, that will solve, something that KS says frequently, guys will complain to him about being broke. He don't even want to hear it unless they're working at least 60 hours. See, because you get your time up, you get your work up. I mean, folks that are complaining about being broke and don't have a job, I mean, that's what a person with no job has is nothing. So you still gotta start moving forward. Go ahead.
I'm not gonna be a person who believes that everybody can be rich, because everybody doesn't have the work ethic and sometimes the luck.
Right,
but
that's true.
A work ethic is something that everybody can have, and the most fulfilled you probably will be in your life is if you're actually doing something, that fulfills you. And sometimes you gotta earn doing what fulfills you. And we're in a society where we got. I made these videos a long time ago. The phones get smarter, the people get dumber. And You got things that help you work smarter, faster, but we're lazier than ever. You know, that doesn't add up. You know, this is the most, so far, this is probably the most sedentary generation or time period ever. And people I get tired, I'm tired from mental work. You're not that bright. Your brain isn't that tight. It ain't much up there. There's not enough mental work to be done when the computer's doing it for you. You can't cut grass. You can't cook your own food. You can't put clothes in a washer and dry. You can't fold your clothes out to dry. You can't. See? And then and I'm gonna just backdoor this to relationships in a second. You know, you can't wash your own windows, or you clean your own toilet, or your stove or microwave. You know, you can't even make your own bed. But all of a sudden, you're gonna be the person who says something like, I'm gonna be rich one day, and I'm gonna be in a relationship that's so fulfilling because somebody's gonna do everything for me that I don't do for myself. And my family is not gonna do for me because they feel like I'm grown. And for me to be a jerk about it, which I will, we're raising children to be lazier than us.
Yeah, that's a problem, and that's a hard problem to solve. Because, I mean, okay, so say if I'm a fighter. I mean, heck, you know, I love the Rocky movies, that whole universe, and Rocky, as tough as nails as that dude was, as perseverant, he could not spread that same, you know, willing to, you know, go through hell. You know, I mean, he couldn't get that to his son. His son just didn't get that. And from being raised in sort of a cushy kind of lifestyle, that was sort of the death knell for his son to ever have any part of the sort of stuff that Rocky was made out of. And we see this is dime a dozen. You know, the guy that pulls himself up by his own bootstraps, ends up with $1 billion business. His kids are almost always lazy bums, you know, and the only way that they can prevent their kids from being lazy bums is if they say, you know what, I'm not giving you no money unless you've done X, Y, and Z until you're 40 years old. Then, you know, then you'll get some money. That's the only way that they can get them to not do that. It's like this, we you know, we want our families to do better. We want them to have things that we didn't have. Like I think about my own son. My son is 8. I want him to have the stuff that I didn't have, you know, and my dad wanted me to have the stuff that he didn't have. But the thing is like, you can go a little bit too far with making it too easy and laying stuff out a little bit too much. And it's hard to know where the line is. I think a lot of folks really struggle with that. Now I am not. Now my kid ain't gonna be no bum. No, that ain't gonna happen because I, you know. but I'm saying, but it's a struggle. Like, you know, how much stuff does this kid need? How much stuff do I need to be giving this kid? You know, and how much should I make him struggle for himself? Because that's actually going to make him a man. You know, that's going to make him grow up and be able to provide for his own.
You know, I had a similar talk with my son recently, actually. Not like maybe over the weekend. And and I wrote something about this in my book back in the day too, where we as parents have lost something that's far more important than us people who grew up in an environment that was a struggle, and then if we went from poverty to the middle class or poverty to the upper class, what we forgot is we got our children away from it, but we forgot to tell our children our family story. Because the one thing that my parents, and I was particularly more so raised by my grandparents, the one thing that they passed down to me was, this is where your great grandfather and mother came from, this is where your grandfather and mother came from, and this is where your parents came from. Now, if you blow it at this level, and you taking a dump on all of the things that they did before you, and even though I love you, I will break your back because you're not going to disrespect them. And we're letting our children and young adults act as if history don't matter. And it's like, oh, well, I'm here and I'm here right now and I ain't asked to be here. Old school be like, yeah, you ain't asked to be here. I'll put a bullet in you if you really don't want to be here, you know. You cool with that? But wait, okay, then you like your little life, so shut up. Like we're not sitting children down, and just like the same thing as far as relationships and dating, we're not sitting people down and say, listen, I owe people who got me to this position, and I owe them enough to not waste it all on you when you're not trying to do anything for yourself. If we're gonna come together and work together as a team, fine. But you're gonna respect my family history, and I'm gonna respect your family history. But since we ducking each other's family in the first place, we never had that conversation.
Yeah, and you know, this balance between like tough love, which by the way is the real love. Okay.
But people don't read the Bible.
That's right. People don't understand that. The Bible says that God will chastise the ones that he loves. So that tells you right there that tough love is the real love. If you reprimand, if you punish, then that's a sign of love. If you just let folks get away with something and with stuff, that's a sign that you despise them. You don't care enough about them to nip it in the bud, as it were. But you know, next month is Black History Month, and I have grown to somewhat okay. So go ahead.
I don't like Black History Month no more because we celebrate St. Patrick's Day more than we do Black History Month. Like I'm trying to figure, it ain't really got much to do with the month for me. It got something to do with us. Like we don't even know our own doggone history, and we act like we forgot it and we won't pass it down. But as soon as we could drink some beer with some white people, we wearing green shirts. We don't wear red, black, and green shirts during the whole month. But hey, man, it's time to get drunk. It's like we are really some bipolar. Let's be black first, but not in Black History Month. We're just finding out what Martin Luther King really said. As if you didn't know this. And we got parents and grandparents who act slow. He did say that, but I forgot. I just told you he had a dream. Like, you goofy mother. Black History Month is the reason why America don't care about it is because we don't care about it. And if we were smart enough to realize this, if you look at the federal holidays in America, there are more black holidays in America than there are white. Like if you King, now it's Juneteenth, it's Memorial Day. What is the freaking? Come on. Because President's Day would be white. Thanksgiving would actually be from the Native Americans. Christmas and New Year, that ain't even here. Veterans Day, Labor Day, what am I missing? It's Veterans Day, Labor Day. I think that's something. Am I missing one?
President's Day.
Yeah, that was so the one that we could consider white would be President's Day, Veterans Day, because they're gonna say it's white, but because obviously more white people died in wars, and that's it. Because this America, Labor Day ain't for white people. Man, they don't work like that. Sorry, they don't have an actual history of work. They have a history of taking credit for work.
The Black History, the Black History Month thing is a in my own sort of personal development. It was something that I pretty much despised, because at best it pointed out that it's the shortest month. So this is what you think of us? You give us the shortest month? There's that. Now there's some reason with some of the important figures in Black history why February was chosen. Not just because it was the shortest month. But on the surface, it's like it's the shortest month. This whole kind of continuing to sort of stoke the racial stuff. And in my mind, the best thing that we can do is stop talking about it and start being about something. Now, that doesn't mean that you ignore stuff that's happened. It doesn't mean that you treat it as if, slavery never happened or it's none of that. And it's not that you ignore clear situations where maybe racism had something to do with something going wrong. Okay, that's fine. But the constant using the race thing is for the reason why we still haven't gotten there.
Well, that's the thing. Like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has a children's book about black inventors. And he's had that children's book been out for years. You should get it for your 8 years. I forget. It's actually in my son's closet right now, but he's in his room, so I can't go get it. But it's a nice children's book. It starts with the story of Lewis Latimer. But one thing we don't do about our history is we'll say the month exists, but we won't say the contributions that exist. And that's our issue. Like, we got a month. Yeah, but okay, do you know Lewis Latimer's contributions? Do you know who invented the video game console, since you like gaming so much? Did you know that? You know what I'm saying? You're on your cell phone. Do you know one of the brains behind that? If you got a security system in your home, do you know that? If you got LASIK before, do you know that? If did you know Jack Johnson, patented one of the wrenches? Did you know that? I forgot the brother's name from John Hopkins that they made the movie about with Mos Def, but they never got credit. Did you know about the actual real McCoy? Did you know that? Did you know about Greenwood Patterson? Did you know that? What about the inventor T. Love and all what about the pencil sharpener, the desk? What What about the refrigerator? I think the air conditioner, the elevator, escalator, the gas mask, the potato chip. Like peanut butter. Like, if you look around in your home and deal in your life, and even any industry you deal in, do you know George Washington Carver's his influence on the auto plant business of making of how he inspired Ford to actually make the plants. That's why some ways they call them the plant. You know what I'm saying? Because of George Washington Carver. Do you understand these things? Do you understand Benjamin Banneker's contributions to the United States of America? Like, we ain't even got to go to slavery. Let's go past slavery.
Yeah.
The architecture. Do you understand why a certain city's architecture is still standing to this day? Is because we built it. Their stuff ain't lasting that long.
In my as I said, my development, the Black History thing has gone from something that I am sort of annoyed by to something that I'm kind of like, you know what? But if we used this to actually spread this kind of information that you're talking about, if we actually use that month for that, and since it's already there and there seems to be a lot of support for those kinds of, for programming, and start actually developing some programs that focus on a lot of these positive points, then maybe it's not all bad. Maybe it can actually be used for a positive purpose. And so in my mind now, I'm like, okay, what are some things I can do to take stuff that is already preset and do something positive with it? I don't know. I'm an academic, and there's goofy stuff that goes on in academia constantly.
Using race or racism as an issue with this, that's always a part of the problem, because if you start pointing out these things just in celebration, somebody in this country, because this country's religion is capitalism, it's going to point out, well, how come they didn't get paid for that? How come they family didn't get paid for that? Well, how come they family didn't get paid for that? Like, they did all of this stuff and didn't get paid for this. And wait a minute, they got patents on this stuff, but they family don't have no money. Like, because we're stupid. Like, we like to play stupid. America's a stupid country that likes to play stupid conveniently when money's on the table. So you don't want to say something like, you mean to tell me a black person invented the potato chip and he got nothing in Frito-Lay? That's American history, buddy. You mean to tell me Lewis Latimer actually was the one who, we say Edison invented the light bulb, and then we say Tesla, went from direct current to alternating current, but we don't say Lewis Latimer is actually the person that created the direct current part, and he's the one that put the tungsten in the thing to make it light in the electrical current in the first place. It was not Tesla and it was not Edison, but Edison's got a power company, and Tesla, he was working with Westinghouse and he got rich. He died broke, but that's a whole nother story. And now Elon Musk has a whole company named after him, but the black dude, nothing.
I'm going to tell you that this whole issue, and this is like a thread through our community, and it's not just with, of course, with inventors. I mean, look at all the music that's been ripped off. Look at all of the, look at we just. I don't know if it's just. we just have not protected ourselves like other cultures have with paperwork. That's just not been what we do. We create this stuff. We're happy to be involved, but we don't do that other legal stuff that gets these other folks filthy rich.
Well, in all fairness, I would say we're definitely behind in paperwork because us being behind in paperwork lasted longer than slavery.
Because way longer. That's what's really jacking us up. It ain't slavery anymore.
Yeah,
it's the paperwork.
But the people who initially wrote the paperwork, this is what they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I remember me and O'Shea was doing a panel on a brother pill a while back, and somebody asked the question: is it unfair that there are no black owners in the NFL? And my response was like, no, because there was nobody who had the money to own a team or have money to spend on a league in the 175 years ago or 100 years ago, because they had something extra to do with their money. Nobody existed like that. So no, you can't. We shouldn't own as many teams as white people because we were all in abject poverty back then. So the paperwork part, that went from people in the patent office jacked up the paperwork, and the civil rights movement jacked up the paperwork. People, the Housing Act didn't even really get enforced from civil rights until the 80s. So it's like,
yeah.
And we still stupid on the people of color thing.
Yeah.
That doesn't include you, buddy. It's using you to include everybody else.
Yeah. That's one of the issues that I have with academia. Is that there's the diversity and inclusion business. That is nothing but affirmative action reborn, yet without the specific purposes, a specific purpose of benefiting black men. Because that was the original purpose of affirmative action. That's why it was created. But we know that 84% of the beneficiaries of affirmative action have been white women. Now, what they did with diversity and inclusion is they never stated that black men were a priority. So they have eliminated that as a problem. So now they can go after what they really want to go after, which is everybody else. But they use our plight, things that happen to us, movements that begin animated by our mutilated bodies, black men, straight black men in particular, to animate and create momentum for other things that they actually want. And when you raise serious issues, for instance, that in academia there are 20,000 fewer black men than black females, when you raise these kinds of issues, folks don't even know that it's the case because it's such a non-issue. It's not part of the sort of original charter of diversity and inclusion. That's a primary issue that I have with that. Rather than being about so-called inclusion, which basically the approach is not to find people with different thought processes that think differently, but rather find people that look different but think the same.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what we do it. That's what we do it. You look different, but you still say the same stuff that I would say. That's
Right.
why you have been blessed. You in.
All inclusion has become is just a group of people who are. Let me do it this way. All inclusion and people of color has become is a group of non-black heterosexual men. We got to get thrown out of that. Everybody else is just trying to become Irish and Italian 80 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's include me to being white. That's it.
You know, something that Jap says is that that whole the white feminist thing. So the white female is the one that has the most. They're the ones that are the most hands off. You can't really touch them. And if you can get close to them and embrace sort of values that they have, and then you can get the white woman treatment. And that is, it seems to be what happens with a lot of these other groups. But we know that some folks that are actually disenfranchised, they'll never get that. They're never going to get that that treatment. Yeah.
I'm gonna try to expound on that in a different way. Okay, the good thing about this era and this time period for black men is technology. You know, the technology, cameras in particular, have exposed how everybody has formed like Voltron to shut us out of America.
Mm.
But more importantly, it has exposed how incompetent everybody else is. Because everybody else is sitting at the table and the country is still $20+ trillion in debt and counting, and everybody looks like a freaking idiot. And it's not our fault. The one thing that they also shut us out of any of this, the downfall of America being part of our fault, is everybody else's fault.
Mm.
And
That's interesting.
We can't be. What are we going to be the bad guy for? Bringing drugs into the country? Nope. What are we going to be the bad guys for? The wrecking the financial system? Nope. What are we going to be the bad guys for? The inequality in the judicial system? No. Or what are we going to be the bad guys for? The inadequacy of, I hate to say, United States academia and universities pushing out people who are complete idiots on a regular basis with $100,000 of debt and no way of figuring out how to pay for it. That's not us.
Yeah.
And more importantly, since we're the ones that have the highest unemployment rate, well, that would also mean everybody who's employed ain't doing a good job, since we say the country's work ethic and production sucks, and we got to take it globally.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey man, y'all messed up the country, man. Don't blame me. I was rapping in jail somewhere.
So, the Black History thing, the Black History Month thing, is it's a complicated issue, you know, because it brings up all of these other topics that we're talking, you know, and so that's part of the reason why I'm, and a lot of black folks are a bit, what's the word? We are, yeah, there is that. So, you know, one thing about, you know, I coordinated, I organized some panel discussions for O'Shea's channel, and I did one on Bernard Riley's channel also. They're sort of the nexus between the black church and the black manosphere kind of things. And in each one of those, I had a couple pastors on there. And you know, there were I thought lively discussions. There were good conversations. There's a lot of folks that are in the black manosphere that you know, they felt like the black church wasn't really for them. You know, they felt pushed out. They felt like a lot of issues that would really serve men well are just missing, or just not there anymore. It used to be there were 3 places where a black man in particular could speak his mind. You know, one of them was the barbershop. The second one was the black church. I mean, consider some of the things that Martin Luther King said from the pulpit. That stuff wasn't particularly convenient to say, and in all likelihood got him killed. And then the third place was academia, right? So the purpose of tenure is so that you could go where the research led. You could say inconvenient things without the fear of losing your job. But we know now that they have other ways to push you out. You have tenure, they have other ways that they can get rid of you. But at least, you know, and this has been the first time that I've experienced this in my lifetime. What's going on in the black manosphere, I think, is so important, because I think the most important conversations are happening with regularity. Now, there's some foolishness too.
Yes.
But you know, that's how all human interaction works.
I think the black manosphere kind of puts a spotlight on how we need to gravitate to foolishness to get to something real, or how you need to find something foolish to absolve yourself of dealing with something real that somebody said. And like, i.e., when you were talking about the church, the black manosphere can ask a very simple question, and you know, I've asked it before, about the black church or about any church in America. That's really the crux of the church's issue. Who does God bank with? Because why am I giving my money to you if you keep telling me I can give it to God? Chase, Wachovia, Bank of America. Can anybody walk into a bank and just put God in $100 and just slide it, you know, deposit it to God's account? No, you cannot. So the crux that we have is a trust issue, because if I'm trusting you and my money is the form of trust, and I see you're not doing right by my community with my trust, then all of a sudden we're going to have a big issue. Because now I'm paying you to deceive me. But if we ask that question and somebody go, you know what, I might have, he kind of got a point. Then you're going to go find a video where I cuss somebody out or say something outlandish. And see, I'm not going to listen to him. He might have had a point, but he said he called that girl a B. Hey, okay. All right. So we're going to go down this rabbit hole. I'm going to call you one too. How about that? You know, so you can remember that too. Because the barbershop, though the barbershop was a haven of talk, it has not, you know, I ain't been to a barbershop in a long, long time, but it's not viewed as that anymore, because it's not any really good conversation going on anymore. That's part of the reason why I don't go. I just come on here, and I'm not finna pay you $20 to hear stupidity. They used to actually have a wide range of conversations. Now, not so much. And academia, kind of along with entertainment, has lost their credibility with black men because they never took the time to actually even have a conversation with us. So now everything that they say of us is a parody or a satire of something they made up in their head. They're making their own Dave Chappelle skits of us without even having us in the room to see if it actually is real or not.
Yeah. There's a lot of I don't know, there's like a lot of animus, and it's just misinformation, and it's who you're listening to. It's like, well, I don't know any black people. What are these people over here saying about black people? Well, they seem like they're credible. Okay, let me just say what they're saying. It seems as though that seems to be the approach.
This is why sometimes when I approach just America in general, I think this is the dumbest nation of all time, because what you're trying to tell me in this nation is, you know what? I know white people. You know why I know white people? Because I listen to Justin Bieber. I've listened to Justin Timberlake. I've heard Evanescence. Yes, I've listened to Green Day. I know them all. I know them. Yes. I've listened to Teen Spirit 100 times. They're all the same. It's like, like, are you that stupid? Yes, I am that stupid because I've listened, and that's how they look at it. I've listened to Jay-Z and I've listened to Tupac, and I know all of you, and Snoop Dogg, and I somewhat crip walk to the, and I know, because I've listened to that. You as a 40-year-old man, you're just like that. Like, man, if you don't get, okay, you're right, sir. I went to watch a Marvel movie, and I think you can swing that hammer around in a circle and fly off. It's like, but people don't, like, one thing I can say most black men have is common sense. And common sense would tell you might not want to look at a television and watch a show that's written by people and produced by people. What did Denzel Washington say? Between Schindler's List and The Godfather, I want to say. The guy who did Schindler's List was Jewish. The guy who did The Godfather was Italian. And he said both directors could, that director could make Schindler's List and the other director could make, The Godfather. But they have different cultural experiences that would affect the movie.
Oh yeah, right.
So we're probably the only, like, it's stupid. Like, we know how stupid it is to go to somebody Asian and say, I watched a few Kung Fu movies, so I know Tiger Style, so I know. Like, we get that stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like,
or even worse, I watched The Karate Kid.
Yeah, like, so. Exactly. I'm all in your culture, brother. Like, just, I hate Cobra Kai. Like, what the no. It's like, but with everybody, they do that with us, and then they don't. And the funny part to me is, and it's just a black male experience to me, people disrespect us on a regular basis, and when we return it in kind, their mind is blown. Like, oh well, so you gonna, okay? Like, I have an Irish coworker, and how me and him how he stopped playing around. He was doing the yo-yo thing, and then I went full-blown leprechaun, St. Patrick's Day. I ain't made it. Da, da, da. I started just throwing pirates in it and everything. I'm gonna get drunk, but free Ireland. Yeah, we're going to Dublin. And he was just looking at me like, "Hey, that's enough." And you, well, no, it's not enough. You gonna yo-yo me every day? We gonna have a pint every day. Like, all right, I kind of get the point now. Like, you should have known that,
Yeah.
And let me slow down and be a little bit of what's weird that cracks me up about America in general. You know how we're black people, like I said, I'm in my 40s. I remember when fried chicken used to get made fun of and ribs used to get made fun of, but now all of a sudden you got eating chicken wings was really made fun of, but now you got wing stops everywhere. You got people of all races trying to be pit masters, and I'm just looking at America like, I thought that was N-word food and how N-words live, and now you putting watermelon on the grill, and now there's a chicken spot everywhere on the. Oh, but and now y'all frying fish every doggone well. And we're supposed to go get y'all bland fried food and just act like, but this is the culture we live in. This is the country we live in.
Yep. So the Super Bowl is right around the corner, and I see that hat you have on. Well, they're going to be in one of the championship games for their division, and then the winner goes to the big game. So that's very cool, and I guess the Super Bowl's on February 13th this year. Something that I start paying attention to the commercials around this time, and certainly during the Super Bowl, because advertisers will be trying their hand at social re-engineering. It's one of the heavy times that they will experiment with pushing, the envelope, see how much more I can get away with. If you remember the whole toxic masculinity thing, the Gillette commercial, that was around the same period of time. I think it actually came out before the Super Bowl, but it was in that sort of window, and it played during the Super Bowl Super Bowl. Also, it's the biggest concert, the so-called biggest concert. If you ever are on the Super Bowl halftime show, then that means that you made it, as it were, as a musician, as an artist. And so there's always that, and I'm always interested in that. But really, I'm interested in the commercials. Of course, I'm going to watch the game, but I'm really interested in the commercials. Advertisers have become, as I said, have become more and more aggressive in their social re-engineering. I'll tell you, the thing that bothers me more than anything, it's not your lifestyle. It's trying to impose your lifestyle on me. What do you think of that?
What I find interesting about this whole scenario, even with the Super Bowl, is how quickly we forget things. So first, Super Bowls in Black History Month, and they never bring up Black history. And 85 to 90% of the players black. Nobody says bats an eye at that because it's the American game, whatever. Yeah, but so we're gonna overlook that. I'm not overlooking it, I'm pointing it out. Second most important thing though. At the beginning of this football season, there was an article about how they were gonna play the Black national anthem and the national anthem because even the NFL was like, oh yeah, we kind of did mess that national anthem thing up. But I went to an NFL game this year. You know what I didn't hear? The Black national anthem. Which brings me to a bigger point. Do you remember maybe 2 years ago when the NFL was like they're going to institute a program, the players, after the Colin Kaepernick thing, that the players were going to, the players and owners were going to come together and they were going to do things for the Black community in particular, but the players would have to put in some of their money too. Notice how that never happened. So when it comes to these agendas and imposing agendas, I always notice how the agenda is to be more American. But here's the only problem with that. And using the halftime show as a reference. If you watch the Super Bowl and you watch the commercials and you pay attention, you kind of find out, and especially with the halftime shows most of the time, who's ever performing, that's how they cater their commercials to that demographic. But they're not gonna do it with hip hop so much. But for the most part, if it's the Eagles, you about to get, if it's Kid Rock, you about to get. If it's Shakira and Jennifer Lopez, you're gonna get a more cultural, people of color commercial thing going on. With us, So the Super Bowl for me, when I watch it and when I look at it, and I look at the commercials and the setup of it, and I hate to say it this way, it's a personification how Black men are at the forefront of the things you need in this country, but at the back of the line when it comes to catering to it or acknowledging. Because you wouldn't be watching the game if it wasn't for us in the first place.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. Yep.
So, and I've always looked at sports in particular as one of the biggest purveyors of why, as far as men concerned, why race stays a factor, because sports is the only thing on the planet where everybody knows the rules and they're watching and you can't cheat in public. And now it's kind of it's a meritocracy. And when you look at something that's a meritocracy and you don't see yourself in it predominantly, you start to kind of figure out, well, we're gonna have to we're not gonna play a game where everybody knows the rules with these people, because there's too many of them.
Yep.
So that's just my thoughts on that in totality.
Yeah. Well, man, it's about time. I mean, we just got going. We could keep talking. I definitely have to have you back. Please let me know if I can, return the favor. I'd love to come on over to your platform.
We'll put it together.
Yeah. That's all, man. I'm sure I'm going to be seeing you again on Case Closed. It was a great show again. Had a lot of fun getting it in, all of that good stuff. And
Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely, man. We gonna try to stay off the streets. We trying to keep folks out the streets.
No, it's about to be Valentine's Day. The streets is about to eat.
Oh, the streets is about to eat. The streets about to eat. All right, man. I will see you later.
All right.
You have a good one, man. Peace.